Today's guest is Justin Seidenfeld, co-founder of Canopy, the brand reframing humidifiers and shower filters as beauty and wellness devices. Before starting Canopy, Justin built a career across product development and venture-backed consumer, including time at Quirky, Gravity Blankets, and as co-founder of product development agency Doris Dev, the agency behind brands like Pattern, Magic Spoon, and Humankind. At Doris, Justin and his co-founder incubated Canopy, and he's since gone all in to scale it as a brand on its own right. In this conversation, Justin shares the lesson he carried from high-growth venture-backed startups that didn't always deliver big exits, and how that shaped Canopy's DNA of responsible cash management and efficient growth. We dive into how Canopy built a subscription-driven hardware model with real replenishment and customer stickiness, the decision to expand from D2C into Sephora and Target, and what it takes to not just win the PO but actually drive sell-through, the nuances of product innovation as a growth lever, from reframing humidifiers as skin health tools to expanding into shower and bath filters, and why he's cautious about raising institutional capital, and how Canopy's angel and operator-backed approach forced financial discipline that now feels like an advantage. Welcome to In the Money, an exploration of whether you can still make money in D2C and CPG. We talk to some of the most interesting $5 million to $50 million founders, operators, investors, and acquirers in the space to ultimately answer the question, is D2C and CPG still a good business? Hope you'll enjoy the show. Justin, super excited for the pod today. I think we could go in so many different directions, given that you've kind of got both agency hat as well as brand founder hat, and you've just seen so much, especially so much in the VC-backed landscape. But I have to ask maybe a hard question out of the gate, which is, you've seen the inside of some hyper-growth products businesses that didn't end up going away for monster outcomes. You were at Quirky, you were at Gravity. The point being, it's actually hard to go all the way to a big exit. What made you decide to leave full-time at Doris Dev, which seemed like, a tier one agency, to go all in on Canopy, the consumer brand?
Yeah, for sure. Firstly, excited to be here. So thanks for having me. Some of those experiences, despite not having a poster child outcome, where all of them were incredible experiences that taught me a ton and gave me perspective on all different things, from ideation through bankruptcy and everything in between. So they all kind of played a part in laying a foundation. And then ultimately with Canopy, Canopy was a homegrown product brand that we ideated out of Doris Dev, so within the four walls of Doris, with my co-founder and business partner, Lucas, and was really exciting and excited to see something that, we came up with take hold with regards to product market fit. And, we were able to nurture and grow and scale it over the last few years. And that perspective that I mentioned, that I referenced, essentially instilled the confidence that, what we've built at Canopy is really lasting and has some pretty material, enterprise value with what we want to do long term. And so, it was certainly a tough decision, in that Doris is an incredible agency and team, and super fun, fast-paced, exciting, scratches a lot of itches for somebody that wants to work on a lot of things across a lot of spaces and interests. But, the things I would point to that got me really excited about Canopy are, it is kind of the manifestation of a true innovation engine. So we get to work on really cool problems, complex global supply chains, and we've built out an incredible small but mighty but incredible team to lead that work. And so that's been really fun, going from zero to to where we are. I've seen really material traction over that time period, and so again, that perspective has allowed me to know that this thing has legs. We're sitting in the driver's seat, so we're able to control and grow the business responsibly based off of, again, those learnings and perspectives. And then the business has some really compelling competitive advantages and sticky surface area. The big one I would point to is that we've just built a really nice subscription business. So there replenishment components around all the products. And so creating a product that has ongoing surface area with your customer base is just really compelling. And so all of those things bundled up have made it, a really exciting transition for me to focus on full time.
Maybe let's just touch one level more granular for listeners that think about, hey, you had these past experiences at brands that hit 8 figures and were growing, but then didn't get to the monster exit. What are you going to do differently for Canopy that it is at scale, that it is at growing? Is it like, hey, we're going to be more diligent about payables management? Is it that, hey, we're going to be more conservative with CAC payback? Like what are kind of some of the tactical things you're like, hey, we're going to actually, look at driving enterprise value differently?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the overarching theme has just been responsible cash management. And not that other businesses don't do that, but I think, one of the things that's been really important for us is just making sure we've established a runway that we can stay within control of what that looks like. And so, we've been very diligent about spend and when we make big investments for new products or for marketing initiatives that kind of our reaches or put ourselves a little bit farther outside of over our skis than we would like to be, and just having really tight controls in place around that. And a lot of that also we were kind of forced into to some degree, in that we have raised some outside capital to kind of launch and scale Canopy, but we haven't raised any institutional capital. So we basically raised a few very small rounds from angels and strategic folks and operators and friends of Doris to kind of get Canopy off the ground and get it to the next level. But we haven't raised any real institutional capital to drive growth, and so that's basically forced us to be really diligent and measured with investment and spend. And so we've maintained that even as we've continued to scale. And I think it's just now baked into our DNA.
Cards on the table. Your tech stack is held together with duct tape and prayers. If you're a brand founder or COO juggling Shopify, your 3PL portal, 3 different inventory trackers, and yes, that one crucial Google Sheet, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Orders get lost, inventory counts are fiction, and your seamless integrations break every other Tuesday. Endless Commerce changes the game. One platform for everything. D2C, wholesale, marketplaces, the works. AI-powered forecasting, real-time inventory visibility, and integrations that actually integrate. Teams like Great Jones, Food 52, and Pattern Brands already made the switch. So ready to ditch the chaos? Visit endlesscommerce.com. Mention me or In the Money when you reach out and get 3 months free. Because your ops stack should be your competitive advantage, not your biggest headache. I have to stick with your past experience, given that you've seen so much. You've worked with some big logos at Doris Dev. Lalo, Magic Spoon, Humankind, Pattern. And now with all these case studies, do you think you'd be a good consumer equity investor? Or have you seen so much that you're like, no, product market fit is still as ephemeral as ever?
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot, and I don't think there is a black and white answer to consumer investing, primarily just because the landscape is ever changing, right? It's always evolving. I think that I've probably seen what would constitute as really good guardrails for recognizing product market fit through my experiences. And then specifically for your question, equity investments don't necessarily always align with what I would warrant to be good product market fit. Just because having a good equity investment has certain attributes that don't necessarily translate into what I would say make for a great product. And so for an equity investment, you're probably, I'd be looking for a good product. I'd be looking for something that solves a real problem? Is it a pain point that people are experiencing it, and are people willing to pay to solve this problem? And can I build something that people will pay for? But for an investment, there's like more to it. Like, does it scale? Can you establish a moat and create like a stickiness with your customer base? Um, and then I think all of that I would kind of package around. And this is like a big takeaway for me personally, and then also what I've seen at the agency. But the most critical piece is just the team and the people you're that are on the mission and you're bringing around the table to support the mission. That is really make or break for any of it. Like, do they have the vision and the grit to see it all the way through?
There is a criticism, perhaps, of kind of the prior generation of D2C brands or challenger brands, that there was a lack of product innovation. It was, taking something off the factory line floor with a new color palette. And maybe there was an insight that there was white space for it online, but then so easy to fast follow and have 10 and then 30 direct competitors. What do new brands get wrong about product innovation, and how should they be thinking about it in 2025?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing today is that there are just so many facets and dimensions that you need to be thinking about to be successful in such a like competitive consumer landscape. I think it's really easy to like hone in and focus on a singular thing, but the reality is like the most successful products and brands that I've seen in the market have been very holistic about so many aspects that it really is thinking about like getting the flywheel going and not just kind of one dimension. Um, and that extends beyond product too, right? Like, successful brand has to be thinking beyond product. So overall customer experience and distribution, creating a unique and memorable, message and everything beyond just what a great product would stand for. But it obviously all does fall back to having like an incredible product. And yeah, ultimately I think, I've seen a lot of early stage founders get very focused and prescriptive about and precious about one thing. But ultimately, I think it's important to just remember that there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you need to be thinking about simultaneously for the thing to take off.
Humidifiers aren't new. Canopy reframed a humidifier as a beauty device. What was the moment that you knew the wedge was kind of skin outcomes, hydration, health, rather than just air care?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the origin story for Canopy was interesting. So it was ideated within the four walls of Doris as like an interesting idea from Lucas, my co-founder. And actually one of the muses for it was his girlfriend at the time was using a humidifier, like a traditional ultrasonic humidifier, that every week she would break out vinegar and Q-tips to clean out so that it wouldn't mold over. And she was using it year round as a beauty hack for her skin, which was really interesting. So it was this product that she was interacting with all the time. And it was just something that a lot of people, didn't think about. But when we brought up this problem, everyone had a very similar reaction if they knew what a humidifier was, which was, oh, it's that thing in the winter my mom would break out when I was sick. And half the time it would get thrown away because it had molded over. So we thought that was really interesting. That was like the genesis of kind of digging into humidifiers and focusing on making one that wouldn't mold over so easily and easy to clean and maintain, and really for the modern consumer. But when we then created prototypes of it and showed our designs and talked about the origin story of how Izzy, Lucas's girlfriend, had been using it as this beauty hack for her skin, everyone it was like this really funny reaction that everyone had, which was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. That's such like an interesting reason somebody would use a humidifier year round. And so that was like a big aha moment for us that, not only were we working on creating a best in class product within the humidifier category, but there was an opportunity to really position it as something, more impactful for skin health, and as a beauty tool more so than just like a home appliance. And so that kind of got the snowball rolling, bigger and faster, at the time. And we realized we were onto something.
You've now got the filtered shower head, you've got the kind of bathtub filter. How do you prevent SKU sprawl, but still expanding the platform?
Yeah. I think like it all kind of ladders back to our original thesis for Canopy. And then as we've expanded, basically making sure that we're still playing within that sandbox, which is, we're creating products that support healthy routines for you and your family within the home and beyond. And so we need to make sure all of the products ladder up into that goal. And a lot of our product expansion has been very organic, in that we've taken feedback from customers and from partners and merchants, to basically evolve, and expand the brand into new categories. And so it's felt very organic. It doesn't, hasn't felt forced, by any means. And then we've been able to basically leverage our approach to product innovation to just make sure we're creating something unique and compelling and solves, a real problem as we've expanded into these new categories. So there's kind of this consistency of our brand approach and feel and vibe and customer experience and all of these new product lines that we've introduced.
Before you spend another dollar on ads this Q4, ask yourself, can your supply chain actually handle the demand you're trying to create? I talk to D2C founders all the time, and honestly, this is where a lot of brands get burned. You scale ads, traffic spikes, and suddenly, margins disappear. I've seen brands lose $150K in dead stock, pay 40% more in air freight, or completely miss a launch because the supplier ghosted them 2 weeks before peak season. That's where Move Supply Chain comes in. They're not an agency, but think of them as an extension of your ops team. They handle the messy stuff. Supply negotiations, sourcing, planning, forecasting, freight optimization, NPD, all of it. One brand saved $25K in landed costs in just 6 weeks after Move renegotiated supplier terms. Another freed up $150K in overstock they thought was dead money. If you're heading into Q4 and scrambling, talk to them. They even offer a 4-week trial risk-free. Use In the Money for a discount and chat directly with their CEO, Laura. Go to movesupplychain.com. Seriously, before Q4 hits. You've got this great business model with subscription and having that constant connectivity with customers. You've also expanded from online to omnichannel. Maybe talk about that journey.
Yeah, I think, retail has been really interesting. It's always been, on the kind of horizon, or meaning in our mind as part of kind of the expansion goals for Canopy, even though we launched initially as like a direct only business. And, we want to basically get Canopy in front of as many people as possible. And retail is, we got to meet customers where they are, and retail is still is a very important part of that equation. What we've basically taken an approach where we've worked with marquee retail partners for target kind of segments of our audience and customer base, and made sure that we've honed product and messaging and storytelling specific for those channels. So Canopy is interesting because we straddle multiple categories. So we kind of launched as a beauty focused, skincare focused tool. But we also straddle home as, an air care and home appliance brand, as well as baby, with a lot of our product kind of lines being staples for new parents and those customers. So, with retail, what we've done is we've worked with Sephora to focus and target our beauty customer, and focused specific product and merchandising strategy for that customer at Sephora, which is very different from the product that we introduced at Target, and how we've positioned that product for that customer, and other kind of retail partners where, how we've told stories and merchandise product for other channels. So it's been very tactical in thinking about like, hey, the Sephora is a very specific type of customer that we're going to tell a specific story with. And that's why we're selling our portable humidifier and our overhead filter shower head and our handheld shower head there, versus our nursery humidifier at Target is going after, a different customer. And so that's been important for us to think about, focusing on specific customer bases within those channels.
And has all of this kind of come at once in the last 12 months, or have you staggered this out? Because I'm just thinking, sounds like there's quite a bit of operational complexity of different SKU, different message, different customer, and different retailer. Yeah, maybe if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like, when it rains, it pours for sure. But a lot of the work leading up to our recent retail expansions over the last really 10 to 12 months have been years in the making. And so, these were conversations and partnerships and discussions that started years back. But really I would say the expansion and acceleration within those two channels specifically has come in the last 12 months. And yes, there's a lot of operational complexity that then comes with adding new retail channels, specific retailer requirements, specific packaging requirements, additional planning needs, additional cash to support inventory procurement needs. And so all of that gets compounded. Adding one retail partner at once is one thing. Adding more than one is an additional thing, and then combining that with taking on different merchandising approaches and different product mixes at different retailers at the same time is very complicated. So it certainly has not been an easy feat to navigate through all of that, but again, it was years. It was years in the making. So we had lots of time to kind of get ourselves ready for the challenge.
A lot of founders are super excited when they get that first PO from whether it's an independent or a marquee retailer. More experienced founders know that it's actually selling through that's more important than getting the PO. Is there anything that you've learned this year about supporting the retail program and driving sell-through?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a partnership. The sell-through is the most important thing. It's, if it doesn't sell through, then the product is either coming back to you, or it's getting marked down, and then you're taking a brand equity hit, and there's cascading implications for either of those. So there's certainly a ton of support that goes into ensuring the success in all of these retailer channels. There's trade spend, there's building awareness offline and online. We spend a ton through ads and through influencer and social media to just drive awareness that we're selling product at these retail partners, which feels maybe like hey, why aren't we driving the traffic and awareness to our own site? But there's this compounding. There's the idea that there's compounding benefit from having a really symbiotic and successful relationship with these retail partners, which is true, right? Like we get not just the sell through and kind of the sales of having the product at these retail partners, but we get the benefit of credibility and kind of the halo effect of now selling at Sephora and at Target. We also have a really great relationship with our merchants, so we're getting feedback as to what's resonating with customers, what they're looking to see, what are new product areas where we can expand into based off of what their customers are telling them. So there's a lot of mutual benefit from establishing a really good relationship with your retail partners, and it just takes time and money and energy and care.
Outside of trade spend, that extra investment online, offline, driving awareness that you are now in Sephora, are in Target. I'm sure there's a bit of art, a bit of science, but what's the rubric that you think through? Like, how do you think through that problem of like, how much budget and how much effort are we going to be allocating to supporting this program?
It's a great question. I would say there isn't. We don't have a hard and fast percentage, of spend that we're using to dictate those terms. But what we are doing is essentially leveraging a lot of our know-how and what we've built out as a marketing engine, specifically with the kind of the online, like what we've built out as a marketing engine for direct performance. We're leveraging that and sharing that halo effect with our retail partners. And so there is direct trade spend that's being allocated, into some of the traditional levers with the retailers. But then we're also basically showing, hey, look at, the impressions that we're driving through some of the investment and work that we're doing, with our online channels and the network there, and basically, building a case as to all of the investment laddering up to the same goal. And so high level is there. I don't have a specific kind of budget percentage or number to share, but it's making sure that you're painting a very clear picture as to all of the investment and kind of halo effect benefit that you're sharing with your retail partners.
AI. Everyone's talking about it, and you're worried you're getting left behind. Meet RichPanel, an AI-first customer support platform that's built for one thing: making support faster, smarter, and cheaper for e-commerce brands. Something you can actually feel smarter about using. RichPanel combines a unified inbox across email, chat, and socials, a customizable self-service portal that customers actually use, and Sidekick AI, powered by GPT-4, which learns from your past tickets to suggest on-brand replies. Does it actually work? Well, with RichPanel's guarantee, you get guaranteed 30% cost savings when you switch from Zendesk or Gorgeous, 30% automation to reduce your ticket volume, and a no-risk guarantee that if RichPanel doesn't deliver those results in 60 days, you get a full refund. That's why top brands like Ridge Wallet, Jones Road Beauty, and Pella Cases are already using RichPanel to save hundreds of thousands in support costs. Time to start letting AI work for you. Head to richpanel.com and start your free trial today. Real savings, real automation, real AI that actually works. You've raised some money across a few rounds, but you said, haven't done the big institutional raise yet. How do you think about Canopy and its relation to capital markets and fundraising? You've got all this momentum. You've got, the subscription business model, which every investor loves. You've got now probably the two biggest logos that investors want from a retail partner standpoint. And you could make the choice of like, hey, we could be less efficient and just try to grow faster, more aggressively. Yeah, how do you think about that?
Yeah, we've raised a few small rounds to date, and we went out to see if it made sense to raise kind of a proper institutional round a few years back. And at the time, the market, it was very choppy post COVID, and it just at the time didn't make sense. And that kind of forced us to be to kind of rethink, hey, if we're going to support this next chapter of growth without external capital, what does that look like? And it basically forced us to be really diligent and kind of careful and I guess responsible about growth. And so we've kind of maintained that over the last few years, even as we've continued to kind of accelerate, how we've scaled. And it's now been like an underpinning of, kind of within our operational DNA of just being really like responsibly prudent. And it's something that we talk about a lot. We feel we know we've established really strong product market fit. We've built out a really compelling product innovation lens or approach to expansion. And so, it would be interesting to say what does the business look like if we were to take external capital now to really accelerate. So I think though the big takeaway from my experience though is that, as I mentioned at the very beginning of of our conversation, is that I've seen every situation through bankruptcy. And so as has my co-founder, and we're, just a bit jaded to just be really careful about taking external capital because it sets you on a track. And I think we just want to be really careful, before we take external capital that we're, doing it in a really responsible way. So, I think we've probably hit a gate where it feels different than maybe a few years back, but it's still something we're just very careful about how we approach.
What's in a time when a lot of things seems like they're going well, what's been the biggest single win of the last 12 months, whether that's product or channel, campaign, internal?
Yeah, I think it's I would point to maybe two areas of the business. So one is just the success with our retail expansion efforts. So with Target and Sephora, we've just seen really great traction and feedback from those retail partners and their customers. And so that's really validating to see the product, working in store and at scale. And then the other is, the origin story of Canopy is we came out of a product development agency. And so product innovation is kind of part of our foundation, and product innovation as like a growth lever for business expansion has been really, successful for us over the last year. So we've introduced a ton of new products, including a tub filter, a sink faucet filter. We're continuing to expand and make, improvements to our humidifier lines. And we've got new products, in the hopper that'll be launching soon. And so just product innovation as kind of a growth lever has been really impactful for the business.
And is there something that, you're super excited, is there a biggest opportunity in the next 12 to 18 months that, you're itching to get into?
I think I would probably just re-echo the two same things, which have been successful over the last 12 months and looking out in the next 12 months, is that retail, expansion is top of mind. So we're very excited to continue to see growth with our retail partners. And then product innovation has been a tremendous growth, lever for us. So we're going to continue to introduce new products and learn, iterate, refine, improve, and expand through that approach too.
Justin, as we head towards a wrap, is there anything you're looking for from listeners, channel partners, collaborators, investors to accelerate the next phase of Canopy's growth?
I guess, Canopy, one of the things we didn't touch on around the product and actually an entire product category is there's an aroma diffusion feature built into our product lines. So our humidifiers and our filtered shower products all have incorporated home scenting or aroma diffusion features, which has been really really fun. Like every quarter we drop a new aroma kit that works with all of our product lines, and some of those are evergreen Canopy scents that we've developed in house or ourselves, and then others we're doing limited edition aroma kits with brand partners. So we've done some really fun ones over the last few quarters. This summer we did one with Can, which was really, really fun. But I guess the prompt there would be is we're always looking for great brand partners and interesting, innovative, exciting brands that, may be out there that aren't necessarily beauty or personal care brands. So always open to chatting with brands that, would be interested in exploring that.
Amazing. Justin, thanks so much for coming on and look forward to next time.
Thanks, Van. It's great to be here.